Hi all. In this module, we continue our discussion by looking at dialogue. Dialogue is similar to deliberation in some ways, so you'll see some connection between the material from this module and the previous one. Both dialogue and deliberation are communication processes that are used in public life to help groups and communities address difficult, divisive topics. But whereas deliberation focuses on kind of analyzing information and weighing options and making decisions, dialogue focuses more on building deeper understanding and fostering a sense of connection between people. So a lot of my own research and community engagement work involves facilitating public dialogue. So when we think about dialogue, here are some of the key features that really stand out to me. First of all, it's really premised on listening and empathy. So we're encouraged when we come to dialogue to slow down, to really listen in deep, meaningful ways, not to try to be rehearsing our own perspective in our head, but being open to hearing other people's experiences on their own terms, not kind of stereotyping them or thinking just about our own perspective and experiences. So this openness and listening are really important. There's also this sense of bringing your full, genuine kind of self and sharing your story, like being honest and being real in dialogue. So we could be listening and be really empathizing and really thinking about somebody else, but still not really sharing about ourselves, right? Like that's a thing that I know how to do, right? As a parent, I use that sometimes. But in dialogue, to really engage in dialogue, you're doing both. You're both being fully open to the other person and you are being real about who you are, what you're thinking, what your experiences are, right? So dialogue is kind of this sense of contradictions. You're being both real and open. Dialogue really shows connection, like we're all part of something together, finding those things that we have in common, where's the common ground that we share. And it also honors difference. So even though we're all sharing some aspect of the common ground, that doesn't mean we all have the same experience. And it doesn't mean that we all have the same perspective. And it doesn't mean that we all believe the same things or think the same things are right? So in dialogue, we're really trying to work with these kind of complicated ideas about being present, being open, being connected, and honoring difference. So there's a lot of really interesting work that happens around dialogue. Some organizations like Essential Partners, one that we'll learn about in this module, they hold dialogues between groups that advocate for strongly opposing views on controversial topics like guns, right? They bring together advocates from these two different groups and really work hard to try to engage them in a different kind of conversation. We have a video about that effort in this module for us to sort of watch and learn about a little bit. Other groups think about kind of culture, right, or identity groups, and bring together intercultural, interracial kind of dialogues. These are designed to help people learn about each other coming from different cultural backgrounds. And again, in these, we're really not trying to make a decision. We're not trying to shape a policy as much as we are trying to better understand the experiences and perspectives of folks who we see as different from ourselves. A lot of the dialogue work foregrounds personal storytelling. So some of the questions that are asked during dialogue sessions are things like, what experiences have you had that shape your view of this issue? What is at the heart of the matter to you? What is a misperception of your group that you would like to correct? What questions do you have about the other side that you haven't been able to ask? Right? So these are all very open-ended, non-judgy questions that are encouraging people to bring aspects of their full selves and their full perspective and story. And again, remembering it's not about decision-making here. It's about building mutual understanding. Sometimes dialogue can be part of a larger community change effort. So some organizations, and we learn a little about them in our module as well, could do things like using listening circles or other approaches to bringing people in small groups to engage in dialogue and hear their stories about what's happening. But then the next stage is they might move beyond the dialogue to do other kinds of work like proposing ideas or crafting action items or doing some sort of planning related to organizing in their community. So dialogue is often used as a way to get through intractable conflicts and promote reconciliation and forgiveness for people who have faced vast moral differences and lived in deeply divisive conflict situations. Dialogue is used around the world in post-Civil War societies and to deal with sort of long-standing conflicts, and we'll see some of that stuff in our module as well. Dialogue isn't always centered around specific conflict, but it is always focused on understanding and honoring difference. And in all of this, similar to in deliberation, there's a crucial need for somebody to act in a role as facilitator. So the facilitator is someone who's focused on the process, helps the group follow the process to meet its goals. It's not somebody who is advocating for one particular position or something else, but is somebody who's guiding the group conversation. People who learn to facilitate dialogues can be more effective conflict mediators, can serve as leaders in their community and organizational change efforts, and we'll look more closely at facilitation in some of our upcoming modules. So the readings in this module, they give you an overview of what dialogue is and how it works to promote inclusive, meaningful conversations on difficult topics. And then there's also several examples of organizations who use dialogue to address conflict and promote change and build peace. So I hope these examples spark some interest in you, and I look forward to seeing your reflections.